Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Paul, Brecht. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani, and this is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Aloha Monday and this and every weekday morning on HSRN. And of course, as we are right now, streaming live today and every single Monday on our YouTube channel. So be sure to like and subscribe, and feel free to comment on in there in the live chat, or you can text us during the show, or even if you're listening on demand at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. And we've got a lot to get into today. Of course, we are going to get it right into recapping that epic Saturday night in the Sand Sheriff Center, in which our men's volleyball team came out with the big win on senior night to essentially upset the number one team in the country, that is Long Beach State. So shout out, of course, to our men's volleyball team. We'll hear from what head coach Charlie Wade had to say in just a little bit. Coming up, we'll also hear a little later from Nusterer and Eleu Choy. And for those of you who are active on our YouTube channel, I know you guys got a chance to watch that post game already by Charlie Wade, and we also had Louis Sakanoko on there. But of course, we want to share it with our radio audience as well. So we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Also recapping the weekend. I mean, Rory McIlroy finally does it for all of our golf fans out there, that even a casual golf fan like me, I was tuned in and was excited and ecstatic when Rory McIlroy finally was able to win the coveted green jacket and essentially do it all and win the Grand Slam of golf. So talk a little bit about that later on, and then we'll also get into some NBA discussion as the regular season ended yesterday, and now we have the playoff play-in tournament, and the playoff brackets are all set. So we will get you caught up with that. Maybe get a little bit of Paul Brecht's early predictions on how unbiased predictions. He is wearing a New York Knicks shirt, but
I have no biases.
We will get some unbiased predictions, and then get into kind of full preview of the NBA playoffs a little later in this week. So when we will welcome in a special guest, I hope. We'll see. The week is early, so we'll see what happens. But no, it's going to be a fun show today. And we also get into the, I don't know if it's, I guess some people call it controversial, but some of the news in college football, as it's come no surprise. This is the college football world we live in. Tennessee, or former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava essentially had a NIL contract dispute with Tennessee and is now on his way out. And Tennessee was done with him because allegedly asking for more money in terms of his air quote NIL opportunities, because we all know that's not what it is. But
right.
So there you go. So we'll get into some of that discussion a little later as well. But woo! We got to start off with, like, I don't even know exactly where to start with this, because there is like so much that went on Saturday night. Well, first, I guess we can go back to Friday night, right? Hawaii loses to Long Beach State. Did not have a good performance whatsoever. I mean, Nusterer, he was benched. And I walked into the arena, well, to my seats anyways.
I was going to say.
A little later. I was there in the arena early, but like walked to my seats a little later, and it happened when like Kurt was kind of like on the side, and just his look, like he saw me walk in and he just like had that look on his face that he was just like dejected already, like knew he was having a bad game.
It's one of those nights.
And then nonetheless turned it around and had a phenomenal game.
Then he had one of those nights
on a Saturday. I guess another shout out to another senior, Eleu Choy. For the first, that's why it goes back to Friday, even though they lost, to not allow Moni Nikolov, one of, if not the best setter in the country, but also the best server in the country. No aces for that guy. And then do it again on Saturday night. I mean, that performance by Eleu, and you'll hear Coach Charlie say it in a little bit, just a next level to do that to a player that is that good. The entire game, I kept saying, I hate that guy. I hate that guy. Only because he's so darn good. Moni Nikolov, unlike what we see in more the popular American sports like football, basketball, he is already getting offers to go play professionally elsewhere. So he could potentially be a one and done player, almost like traditional basketball. Yeah. So bye.
Yeah, see ya.
But we saw greatness. Like that team, Long Beach State, they're
number one in the nation for a reason.
Yeah, and there's only that's why it was such a fluke game when they had their first loss, and then to lose to Hawaii, it's still considered an upset. Even though we love our men's volleyball team, the crowd is amazing, playing in the stand is amazing. What you guys saw was like top level men's volleyball on Friday and Saturday, and we will see it again here coming up in a couple of weeks. But overall, what a phenomenal match on Saturday to cap off just the senior night, and like talking about Eleu, who's been here for so long, and for him to have that type of performance that he had on Saturday, and the win and all the feels and all of the fans, you guys that came out. Did we get the turnstile on Saturday? I know Friday was above 9,000.
I have it if you'd like the exact number.
Yeah, what was the turnstile? I don't think I saw you tweet it.
It was unfortunately a little less than the night before. I say that. It didn't feel like it or look like it. But nonetheless, the official attendance issued for the second consecutive night, obviously a ticketed sellout. First time that has happened in nearly 30 years. 1996 was the last time it happened. But for the men's volleyball program, I should say, both during a postseason like at all and also during the regular season. Happened 2 separate times. That's pretty fun. Anyway, last night's attendance, though, or 2 nights ago attendance, 9,771 fans in the building. So still approaching that 10,000 mark. And realistically speaking, you take in count of players, media, some auxiliary people who don't necessarily get counted in the total ticketing. We were approaching the 10K, and it sounded like it was maybe 100K in there. I mean, we talk a lot to you guys, the beautiful people, about going out, supporting, showing your aloha. And I don't think there is any better place on earth to play volleyball. There's no better college to have fans show you their love on a senior night. And that was on full display. And I mean full display on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And like I said, capping off with a win. And even when we talked to Kurt last week, he was being realistic. He knew that this was a team that was coming in that was going to be tough to beat, and kind of joked and chuckled like, oh, I guess we just wanted to make it difficult for us on senior night. I've always wanted to win on my senior night, but just got to make it a little, we really had to work for that win on Saturday night. Again, Hawaii beating Long Beach State, and then you go to 5 sets, and then it gets even more dramatic, right? Like Long Beach State takes that first set 25-21, and then you're kind of like, all right, well, are we just seeing a continuation of what happened the previous night? And then Hawaii able to take the second set 25-20, and we're like, okay, well, now we're looking better than Friday, because Hawaii was only able to take that third one. And then so Hawaii wins second set 25-20, and then Long Beach State goes back and wins the third set 25-18, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're going
the 25-18 that's the one that worried me the most. That third set. Not because we lost, because we once again, Paul Brecht, known member, because Hawaii has lost that third set previously, and I've seen them before come back and win those in 5. But it was the answer from Long Beach, because if you remember correctly, and those of you who are watching, that's when the game started to turn up another level with chippiness as well, and the fans started to go up to another level. And typically when that happens, it's Hawaii that feeds off it. But in that particular set, Long Beach State was feeding off of it. And I started to get worried, so much so that I looked up the last time that they did lose on senior night, just in case. Just in case I needed to know that fact. And luckily I didn't need to know that fact. So, but yeah, that third set was
now I'm curious.
2013 against UC
gosh.
Santa Barbara. Yeah. Yeah.
It's been quite some time. Well, I'm glad the
streak continues.
Yeah, it's on our side for now, at least for another year, and we'll see how it works out next year.
Well, it goes to the conversation you and I have had a bunch of times that, like, since I've come out here for the most part, for every single senior night that I've been lucky enough to cover, I have been able to cover a victory and have the actual senior night celebration. So I was worried that the streak was going to come to an end. I was like, with the team, the team I least expected to end with. I'm like, no. So thankfully they came through per usual.
Not like this. But again, the third set, then Hawaii takes the fourth set 25-19, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's happening. It's happening, everybody. We are going to 5.
We were always going 5.
Yeah, as if it's going to be more dramatic. And then Hawaii, and it's literally back and forth. And it could have gone either way to who had that 14th point with that review in that fifth set. So it could have, the pendulum could have swung completely different. Hawaii keeps it. Hawaii wins 15-13. And then it's just, everything erupts. You have Louis just in the crowd. If you guys didn't see it on our social media, I mean, he's fired up. We're fired up. Everyone's hugging and high-fiving. And it's just, it was what a night. And even my family group text and everything, my grandma was watching it and she's texting, and everybody is like, if you weren't there in the stand, like, I can only imagine how many people were just glued to their television watching this game. And humble brag, though, because shout out to the firefighters that did the Hawaii Pona'i and the national anthem, but the Hawaii Pona'i, because they did just like one of the best renditions I've ever heard. And I had actually said, so I was like still in the hospitality room, and I think I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to, but then I had said, I was like, you know what? That's the mana right there. I was like, we're going to win tonight. I was like, we're going to win. Those guys, the firefighters with the Hawaii Pona'i, the way that it was sung, we're going to win. And then how much I believed it in that moment, 100%. But no, I was like, you know what? They started the good vibes. So it was all like, it started from there. And that's my sports media expertise of everything that was this volleyball game, that is why they won, is because that version of Hawaii Pona'i gave everybody chicken skin in that arena, and everyone was still talking about it on social media. Like, I went viral in places. I saw it go viral on accounts that aren't normally posting about sports stuff here locally. And I'm like, see, that's when you know it was really something. Someone sent it to somebody and everyone got chicken skin and it got sent around. So again, I wish I had the list of their names, but
it was very good. It
was so good. Anyways, we got to take a break because I can keep rambling, but right now is the perfect time to take a little break. When we come back, we'll let you hear from what head coach Charlie Wade had to say after that magnificent win.
Stuck in traffic? That sucks. Here Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every Monday. Got a text from Mike that's saying, not Michael, but Mike, good friend of the show. We were talking about the national anthem, and more specifically the Hawaii Pono'i rendition that we heard on Saturday night by the firefighters. And I was talking about like the entire arena had chicken skin, and he texted in, had chicken body. I guess it's true. Yeah. Chills up and down. And again, I had said, I was like, that's in the beginning of the night. I'm like, we're going to win. That's what it took. We are going to win. And Hawaii did on senior night. And as Paul mentioned earlier, he, just in case he needed to use the stat in his write-up or a tweet, he did look up the last time men's volleyball lost, and it's been over 10 years. So good thing the streak continues of when the last time they lost on senior night, So it continues, and it was oh my gosh, it was so good. Anyways, before we continue on and blab some more about it,
because we can.
I want to let you guys actually know who contributed to that win. Enough hearing from us. Someone that is actually a significant part of Hawaii winning. UH men's volleyball head coach Charlie Wade. This is what he had to say following that match.
I think it was aside from being a really significant league win and sending the seniors out with a win, it's against what has been the number one team in the country virtually the whole year. It's a nice line to have on your resume. But I think to your point, we were throwing the kitchen sink at them there for a while. We got multiple guys that are out hurt that have been contributing a lot to us, and just kind of kept spinning it and trying different combinations, different guys, and really valuable time. Guys like Finn, Kainoa, Justin Todd, Opec, like all these guys, just playing in this environment and against what is the best team in the country in a high leverage match was a really valuable times, really valuable opportunities. And even a guy like Tread, last year we played some big matches, but not quite in this situation, in a real meaningful match. So it was a fun night for sure. Super proud of the guys for just sticking together and grinding and coming out with a win.
Yep. Louis, those last 2 points, Coach, what'd you see from him just converting those situations? Well,
look, Louis, I've always said, Louis is a performer, man. He does well when the lights are on and in big moments. And, I was super proud of Adrian tonight. I was joking with him earlier. We've been working so hard on his serve, and it's been a work in progress, to say the least. And he switched to the belly putter. Moved over to left, he's moving around. That's the golfer that can't make putts. They go the claw grip or they go the belly putter. But he hung in there. Actually, it's at the bench for a while, came back, and it really was a big part of us helping win in sets 4 and 5.
What would you say about the series Eleu had and how you gave him?
Look, that is Eleu's All-American tape. He took what is the best server in the NCAA and neutralized him. They didn't have. Last night was the first time he didn't have an ace, and backed it up again tonight, and he just absolutely diming hot shots and really played at a high level. Like I said, that this weekend will be on his All-American tape. He certainly put together a performance over the weekend and showed that, if he's not the best libero in the country, he's damn close.
2 or 3 times tonight, Coach, whether it was the crowd or you guys finding something within yourselves, it seemed like there was this like an emotional, like these sequences that carried you guys for sets at a time to get your way back in the match.
Yeah, that is kind of volleyball. Yeah, you can feel the momentum sometimes, and we recognize that and like to kind of use it and push it. If some good things start happening, let's see if we can use that momentum to make a couple more good things and get a little separation. And obviously, it was the definition of a back and forth match throughout, even in the 5th set. But those are important things to be able to do to take those little something good happens. Can you make a couple other good things happen?
You heard about this senior class that leaves. Just your thoughts.
The guys have been here. Obviously, Kurt and Eleu have been around. Eleu's in his 6th year, and Kurt's been here a long time, and just really happy that a guy like Clay. He was in our estimation the come here. We hope to get him back healthy so he can contribute here down the stretch. Kawhi Hong is just a wonderful human, that stoked to have him, a great locker room guy, hard worker, practice, and Zach Thompson, again, just a local boy that's got a lot of pride in coming home. So it was a nice having some of those veteran guys with so many first and second year guys is really kind of, like I said, giving us some perspective.
And that was UH men's volleyball head coach Charlie Wade. And following Saturday night's 5-set win against the number 1 team in the country, Long Beach State. So, and as he said right there, giving a lot of credit to Eleu Choy and his performance, and just, I liked how he said we threw everything at him, like the kitchen sink. And that's what it was. That's what you have to do against these top teams. Play your best volleyball, have some of the young guys step up. And I'm sure a lot of fans, including myself, was a little worrisome after seeing what happened on Friday, and then thinking, man, maybe if they did have Christian Tatrisky, like at least that would give us a little something else. Obviously, still without the services of Christian. He's still day-to-day, was in the boot that we saw him this weekend. So hopefully he'll be ready to go by the time Long Beach State comes back in a couple of weeks, and obviously other teams in the Big West. But a lot of these guys stepped up. Like we said, Kurt had just probably his worst games we've ever seen him this season on Friday, but then was able to have a really good game on Saturday. And you'll hear from him a little later in the show, but I want to make note that he did talk about how the fact that he got the start actually relieved him a lot, because he wasn't sure what would happen, and he knew Ofek was having a good night when he stepped in for him on Friday. But when he was able to get the start on Saturday, he was like, all right, my coaches still believe in me, and he was able to relax a little bit more. And then we saw that performance that he had on Saturday, and just like so fired up. And he was really calm, because when he kind of sat at the bench, I think it was maybe the 4th set when he sat, because we were behind him, and he just turned back. He was like, hey, guy. And he even like turned around to like chat with me and be like, hey, thanks for having me on the other day. So that's how I knew. I'm like, all right, Kurt's feeling good. He's like relaxed. It's the middle of the big game, and he's just like chilling, and and we kind of chuckled with him. I was like, oh yeah, Mike said, like, because you're going to go Goldman Sachs now, if anything happens, you're going to take over the finances for us. And he's like, well, I don't know about, so like that was nice to kind of, he was that relaxed, where a different body language, different vibe when I saw him on Friday, and he was just so dejected. So, and he goes back in the game and still kicking butt against, again, a top team. And as we were mentioning earlier, a lot of chippiness, a lot of talking, like back and forth between the net, pretty much everything that we want to see in a men's volleyball game, because we know these are the top players in the country, and like they can take it. Like they know it's still, lack of a better term, cordial smack talking, I guess you can say. The fans were into it. It was a phenomenal performance, a phenomenal game all around. And like I said, I think before I kick it to you, Paul, because obviously I know you're going to have a lot of stuff to say. When I thought about it, I was like, this was just such a good win, and the crowd and everything, like just a perfect night, senior night, that I feel like this, at least for me personally, I know other people might feel differently, that I don't want to say it's like, oh, we don't have to win. This felt like, all right, we got one on the national championship team. We do know that they are overall a solid team, and Hawaii is going to need to continue to play their best volleyball, limit their mistakes, because part of the youth of this team is that they tend to make a lot of mistakes and hurt themselves sometimes, right? So, but the fact that Hawaii was able to get this win in that fashion on senior night, it's like we got that big win of the season, right? We're going to go into Big West. Whatever happens in Big West happens. Like if Hawaii ends up making it to the championship game, they get the auto bid or at-large bid, into the NCAA tournament. And, we'll just go from there. But I feel like them just at least winning this one in this, like it felt like a championship match on Saturday night in the stand. And I think fans can at least look back on this season. Again, we're not done yet. In no way do I not have faith that Hawaii can pull this off and potentially win the Big West and the NCAAs, yada, yada, yada. But at least it feels like, all right, we got at least the one huge significant win of the season, and we'll go forward. And especially even the team, they got one. They know it's possible. They'll go forward and get this big win and this experience for the veterans and, of course, for the young players as well.
Yeah, I'm going to build off that point right there that you're just touching on, I think, because this is a moment for a lot of these guys, to me, that felt like a changing of the guard. And I'm not talking about from Long Beach State to Hawaii. I think that's going to continue to be an incredible rivalry over the next however many years because it always, always is. It's just two phenomenal men's volleyball programs. But when I say a changing of the guard, this past Saturday, when you're listening to the senior walks and whatnot, one of the things you hear is the last of the national championship teams, right? In Eleu, Choy, and Kurt Nusterer now moving on and whatnot, and those experiences that they had. Well, got a pretty good group of players now who are very, very young. This was a moment that felt like they grew up a little bit, that they took that step of from, okay, they're pretty good to, yeah, they're expecting to compete for a national championship, not just this year, but going forward down the line. Because you're right, we have no idea what's going to happen the rest of this year. Heaven forbid Christian doesn't come back at full strength and he's not able to be the awesome Tatriski that we've seen throughout the entire year. Heaven forbid. Hopefully that's not the case, right?
Someone gets sick because we know they've been sick this
my
entire
God.
season, right?
I'm not even putting that in the atmosphere because I don't need to. Anyway, and all of these things, right? And also, just to be fair, like UC Irvine is an unbelievable team.
Yes.
With maybe the best player in the country. Like, I know we're going to continue to give flowers to Moni Nikolov, and we should, and he's outstanding and phenomenal and all this stuff, but Hilaire Heno didn't just fall off the face of the earth. He's still very good. So I don't want to sit here and act like it's some foregone conclusion that Hawaii is going to make it into the Big West Championship game and get all that stuff. So, don't clip me or clip me. I don't care, whatever. But this felt like a moment where the young guys learned, hey, all right, we can really compete at that top level, even without our top guy. And to be fair to Long Beach State, I know they were without one of their top guys as well. I think he's outside or a middle or something. I don't know, whatever. I just named two of the 4 positions in volleyball. Good job, Paul. Anyway, but it felt like a step, right, in that direction where this is a team, this is the next group that's supposed to compete for a national championship. They matured a lot this past weekend. They learned a lot this past weekend, more so than other losses. Like, I didn't feel this way after the CSUN loss. I didn't feel this way after the USC loss.
Yeah.
I didn't feel but even after losing in 4 sets on Friday night, and you heard this actually, we heard this talking to some of the players after Saturday's win, it didn't feel like a normal loss after Friday. It felt like we know that team's really good, but we beat ourselves tonight. And then they came back and they fought tooth and nail, and it took everything, and I mean everything. They just eked out that win, but they secured it. And now they have proof of concept. They've seen it before. They know that they can do it. Finn Kearney's come off the bench against the best team in the country, and back-to-back nights he led the entire offense. That was awesome. Tread Rosenthal, and Charlie said this, and you heard it just now in his postgame, this was a different step for Tread, right? He was part of big games last year, but this Hawaii team didn't have the same feeling. Didn't feel, after Spiros went down, it wasn't a national championship contender anymore. And I'm going to say that again. After Spiros went down, the team went from, we're going to compete for a national title, to let's just make it through and try and develop the rest that we can, lose as little as possible. That's a big difference, because after Friday night, that wasn't the feeling this year. After Friday night, it was, we're coming back and we're going to beat you. That's different. I really, really am encouraged by this performance by this team. I'm excited to see what happens for them next. You got to get through these final 2 matches healthy. And then, man, oh man, are we in for some cinema, regardless of who Hawaii plays, whether it is UC Irvine, whether it is Long Beach State, whether somebody gets into the mix that, maybe CSUN, they work their way into one of those opportunities. So I'm really excited for what it can be. I'm really excited for what it could mean. It was a really awesome performance, an emotional night in a lot of ways. And of course, it was going to go 5. It was always going
it was always
5.
Gonna go 5. Yeah, you're right. It was always going to go 5. And going back to the tread thing, I think too. I mean, he's a young guy. He's a dude. Like he's
still,
competitive.
I think the youngest guy on the team, right?
He's got a chip on his shoulder. He hears the talk where the guy on the other side of the net, Moni Nikolov, is the best setter in the country, right? Like that has to kind of give you a little bit more of like, all right, like no, I'm who's projected to be the Team USA setter for a long time in the future, right? Like now you're looking at this other guy, like the Bulgarian kid, this young kid, and like expected to go pro. He's the best setter. Everyone's tabbing him as in the country. Like Tread got a little chip on his shoulder too, right? Like he's going to be competitive, and that's why there's so much chippiness. But it's going to be a phenomenal time. Obviously, Hawaii needs to see how kind of this all tracks out down the stretch, because it is kind of interesting to see what will happen, because both teams are the same still now in the Big West, each suffering 2 losses in the Big West, Hawaii and Long Beach State. So Hawaii goes on the road now, got to close out the season and take care of business against UC Santa Barbara this weekend, and then come back home and play in the Outrigger Big West Championships beginning on Thursday, April 24th. So they'll be in it, of course, but we'll see how the final standings shake up and where they will fall in the bracket, because it's going to be some big-time volleyball. I don't know if I can guarantee it'll be the level that it was. It depends on how, I mean, oh my gosh. If Hawaii, if it ends up being a rematch, or quote-unquote rematch, yeah, I guess rematch, between Hawaii and Long Beach State in the Big West Championship, there better be all 10,300 people in that arena, because it's going to be wild. Lot to take care of business first. Yes, not getting ahead of ourselves. But I'm just saying, it's going to be wild. So we'll see how things play out. Again, got to close out the season. Make sure you still stay up there competing with Long Beach State at the top of the Big West Conference against UC Santa Barbara this weekend. And then we'll see what happens this week. All right, way up against the clock, and we got to take a break. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and of course, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live right now and every single Monday on our YouTube channel. We've been talking a lot about the men's volleyball team and that performance against Long Beach State on Saturday. We'll get back to some more men's volleyball coming up in hour number 2 and let you hear from a couple of the seniors and what they had to say following that incredible match. So Eleu, Choy, and Kurt Nusterer, we'll hear from them a little later. But since we were kind of on the discussion of Big West conversations with the Big West Championships for men's volleyball, I want to kind of stick to Big West conversation, but switch sports a little bit because I see someone commenting here on basketball. We know a lot of the NBA, the playoffs are set, which we'll talk about that coming up a little later too. But I also wanted to make note because something that happened on Friday, the newest recruits were in the house for men's basketball. If you guys didn't see it on our social media, so that was pretty cool to see them there. We had head coach Aran Ganat with some of the new guys coming in, and they are already in town. You got transfers Hunter Erickson, Tanner Cuff, and Isaac Johnson that were in the Hale on Friday night to kind of look at what Hawaii men's basketball can hopefully get back to should they continue to put on a performance that we started to see a glimmer of hope with last year, and then it kind of fizzled out, as we know. But it's a good start. We've talked about the recruits coming in a bunch of times and how significant they are to their program. I know they're still on the recruiting trail, the coaches, that is, but it has been a good start. And obviously Hunter Carter coming in, they still got a lot more roster spaces to fill because there were quite a few departures with seniors and then also transfers so far, and then transfers that we didn't know about that were seniors, but now the transfers. That was kind of funny. I just chuckle about it, where it's like Jerome Palm and Marcus Green, where it was senior night and then it was transfer portal. And anyways, nonetheless, it was a double thing.
JUCO world, and whatever.
But obviously still in the recruiting trail. But when it comes to transfers, however, at least someone that we haven't seen. Obviously, we know we'll miss Akira Jacobs, one of the players that seemed like they were going to have continue to have a significant role on this men's basketball team. But say someone like Aaron Hunkin-Clader, who we started to see progress and become a significant piece and a true point guard for this team. He's 100% staying. His dad, Mario, likes to double down on that. Shout out to him. But it says a lot when you have a player like that, who I'm sure could end up other places in Division I basketball, definitely at another mid-major program. But when you look around the landscape of Big West men's basketball, there has been a lot of significant movement, and not just obviously with coaches. We know UC San Diego, their coach is gone. We know Mike McPile, now he's gone from Riverside. So that's already been movements, but there are also some key players that we have seen quite recently enter the transfer portal on the men's basketball side. Women's too, but we'll stick with the men's basketball conversation. And Paul, what were some of the ones that stood out to you across the landscape in terms of transfers and who is leaving, and maybe some players that came in for some programs that might be true additions, and how it's kind of stacking up and looking for Hawaii in terms of really, really early predictions in terms of competition in the Big West?
Well, I'll start here, right? There are a lot of people leaving, whether it's coaches, whether it's players. The Big West had a really good year this past year, and a lot of people took notice, right? Whether it's Fordham hiring away Mike Magpaio, or it's New Mexico grabbing Eric Olin. That's two of your top three teams looking to replace their head coach. That third top team is UC Irvine. Obviously, they make their way all the way to the NIT final, lose a heartbreaker at the buzzer. And now they're facing a reload of their own. Bent Leuchten is, we've talked about him for years, it feels like at this point. Good riddance. See you later. Happy graduation, happy trails, whatever it may be. Devin Tillis, the guy who most notably hit the fans with the shaka every time he knocked down a big shot here in Hawaii. He's out of here. He's off to Virginia, so best off to him. Miles Choy, the guy who also most notably punched Ryan Rapp during that same home game. He has also hit the transfer portal. I guess that's not most notably to us Hawaii fans, I suppose. He has also hit the transfer portal. So two of the bigger scorers for UC Irvine gone in that sense. You also have Justin Hone, who has just been a really underrated player for them. He's also gone. So those are the players that towards the top. Barrington Hargris, he's hit the transfer portal. I'm really curious to see where he ends up, by the way. He's somebody who feels like he could take a P4 leap. Just depends on the situation that ends up getting him. He would be a lot of fun in a lot of different places. So curious to see there. CSUN is the team in those top four that feels like they got hit the hardest, though. Their top three guys are gone, right? We've talked about them before. During the time that they played against Hawaii back in Hawaii, you talked about Scotty Washington a lot and how he killed the Rainbow Warriors. He's gone now. He's off to High Point. You have Keontae Jones, who is off to...
The fake HPU is High Point.
True. Keontae Jones, he's off to USC, and then you have Marcus Adams Jr., the 6'8" forward who kind of neutralized Gitas Namishka at times. He is off to Arizona State. So their top three scorers in the portal and gone. So a lot of production from the top of the conference out of here. It doesn't stop there. When you look down the rest of the list, UCSB's graduating 11 players. You have UC Davis. They graduate their leading scorer. Pablo Tamba also hit the portal, if you remember correctly. Tamba also had a couple of really nice games against the Rainbow Warriors this past year. Cal Poly, who was a real pleasant surprise for a lot of people this past year. Not necessarily for Hawaii because they stole our spot in the Big West tournament. Anyway, they lose the one of the guys who I thought was going to be a contender for Freshman of the Year in the conference, and Peter Bandeljay. He's in the portal alongside Owen Kuntz, Jared Hyder, who knocked down the most three-pointers in a single season for any Mustang in history. He is graduated. Isaac Jessup also graduating, and then I don't remember his first. Mac Riniker is also in the portal and gone for Cal Poly. So a lot of their top production gone. 5 players in the portal for Bakersfield, including Jamel Jones, who...
Oh, that's right.
He was unbelievable.
He's pretty good.
He's unbelievable this past year. He's gone.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up somewhere in the P4.
Me either. A.J. George, a guard from SMU, who actually started his career at Long Beach State, did announce his commitment to C-Sub, so he's one of just a few players outside of the Hawaii program that have committed into the Big West. Also, Aaron Smith, a guard from Alabama A&M, has announced his transfer to Bakersfield. And then we get to the bottom of the conference where you have Long Beach State and Cal State Fullerton. Long Beach State has 11 players in the portal and another guy graduating.
Isn't what's his face ask you in the portal again?
Oh yeah,
like for the 50 bajillionth time.
Yeah, he's got his college career looks as though he is an NBA journeyman, which I don't think is a good thing, but to each their own. I hope he has his best. I know he's dealt with a ton of injuries and whatever. He's not my cup of tea. And then Cal State Fullerton, everybody knows, very, very famously, Cal State Fullerton lost basically everybody. They also have 11 players in the portal. So all of that long-winded to say conference is wide open next year. Yeah. And Hawaii has been the only program that has really been able to bring in multiple players of true value at this point. And that's unfair of me to say because all players have value and all players can have value depending on coaching. But in terms of outside recruiting and outside players, it's been a really good start for Hawaii men's basketball. Shout out to Gibson Johnson, who has been working his connections really, really hard. Obviously, Brad Davidson, Rob Jones, Aron Ganat, all of them do their stuff. But we've seen the Utah pipeline continue to be pulled from, and it's created a really nice start. Hunter Erickson, Isaac Johnson, and Tanner Cuff are 3 really solid players. Like you mentioned, they got a chance to see what it's like when the Stan Sheriff Center is rocking this past weekend. Now, I don't necessarily expect the men's basketball team to sell out for any games. 10,300 is a lot to add, clearly, even for just men's volleyball, but even 5,000 makes that place sound unreal. And they got a taste of that, and that comes when you start winning. These guys all come from winning programs, and like I mentioned before, not really a ton coming in outside of that in the Big West. Obviously, a ton of time still to figure stuff out, a ton of players to figure stuff out as well, but yeah. Oh, and Miro Little, I should also give a shout out to. He is somebody else who has transferred into the conference that is notable. He's going to UC Santa Barbara. He is rated as a 4-star guard by Evan Miyakawa in the transfer portal. He played at Utah last year, was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, but hasn't really done a lot in college. Just hasn't gotten an opportunity. So hoping to get that now with the Gauchos. And yeah, so Hawaii's done a really nice job. I've been talking for a while. Hawaii's done a really nice job, and they're not a team who was, absent from losing a lot. Like you mentioned, they had 5 graduations. They had 3 other players hit the portal, plus Marcus Green and Jerome Palm, who kind of fall into both categories. And they've filled with better players at this point, and they're still looking to do the same thing. They have a couple more visits scheduled for this week with some wings who can really score it from the outside. That's the next step that they need to take. And if they do, and they lock down a couple of those guys, then we're talking about perhaps competing in the Big West Championship next year.
We got comments in the YouTube live chat. Mike, he said, Phil Handy, please save our basketball team, the men that is, and also saying I'll buy out Ganat's contract. I'm pretty sure Phil Handy is, we talked about this before. We understand fans' frustrations. Last year was a really, really bad year. We've talked about this a lot. But we've also talked about, we can't just have this hopium that any coach we want is going to come here and coach Choy. I want to say Phil Handy is pretty comfortable at Unrivaled because, you know what, Paige Becker's just signed on with that basketball league, and she gets paid more than what the 4 years in the WNBA will be after she's the number 1 overall draft in the WNBA draft. So I'm assuming Phil Handy's kind of okay being a head coach in that league / we see what college sports is right now. Phil Handy loves basketball. He loves to coach basketball. I don't think he would willingly want to come into this world that we're seeing in college basketball because
why would
it's
he go
just
to
so
JV professional basketball when he spent the last 2 decades in actual professional basketball?
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
And by JV it's like JV with no regulation.
Yeah,
so
that's what
I get
I mean.
it. I know everyone is like, oh yeah, Phil Handy, and they throw out names out there, but I think it's just, we got to be realistic on who can and will come and air quote save the men's basketball program.
Also, a move's not going to be made right now.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be made right
so
now.
you gotta stick around for one more season, Mr. Mike J. But again, we understand the frustrations. We get it. We want to see it packed for men's basketball. You're
we
talking
have talked
to
about it ad nauseum.
Huge basketball fans here. But I just got a chuckle of the comment, and I thought it was a fun time to refresh because the Paige Beckers thing came out of her signing on with Unrivaled and her salary being, her contract there being more than what her 4 years in the W will be. So I think Unrivaled is doing just fine, and Phil Handy is probably doing great there coaching women's basketball, like you said, at the actual professional level, and is only going to grow. So that means his salary is going to grow more than probably $300K a year. So all the best to Phil Handy, but Trevor Ruffin is another one now. Mike's coming. We got to take a break, but keep the comments coming in. If you guys want to text in, you can text in at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. But we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. I gotta wait for the beat to drop. That's what we usually wait for, and I totally forgot about that. I feel like I haven't put this song in a while.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
To be fair, it only gets into the rotation like once a week, and then it's like if it's once a week. You know what I mean?
True.
Where it's you have, because you've done a very nice job curating our Soundstripe selection for bump music. So it used to be where it was every single YouTube show we were going to make sure that you were never stop dreaming, but now we have different options to go around and play. So yeah, not as typical for us to play it.
Yeah, for everyone that's kind of wondering why we have to do it that way, it's because for YouTube, since we stream live every time we do a YouTube show, we have to have the where we won't get the copyright strike on YouTube. So that's why it's like it's never our fun mix of either local music or your go-to pop music, or sometimes we throw in some 90s music when we're radio only and we are allowed to use snippets of that. YouTube, then we would just get blocked out everywhere else. So we want to be sure you guys can see us on YouTube. So that's why we have it. But I wanted to touch on something just because we only have a few minutes, and we'll probably pick it back up in the second hour. Again, coming up in hour number 2, we'll get back to some men's volleyball. I'll let you hear from Eleu, Choy, and Kurt Nusterer and what they had to say after the game. We'll talk a little bit of Masters as Rory McIlroy able to finish it all and win the Masters and secure that Grand Slam in men's golf. Talk some NBA playoffs as the regular season is all pow, and the brackets and the play-in tournament, I guess, so to speak, are set, and we'll get Paul's, his pre-tournament as we get closer, predictions on what's going to unfold, and we'll take a look at some of the odds and what the odds makers are saying as to who will win the NBA Finals this year. But because we were talking about basketball and the world of college sports, one of the news that came out over the weekend is that Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, who was out here not too long ago for the Polynesian Bowl, is one of the top recruits out of high school during that year. They have parted ways with each other, Tennessee and Nico, based on allegedly NIL disputes. And there's some fun, I don't know how true it is, but like Oregon head coach Dan Lanning maybe called up Josh Heupel at Tennessee. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, that's actually kind of funny, considering how Oregon almost poached Jaren Keave-Sangapolu-Tele from Cal. I mean, technically they did. And then Jaren ended up going with his gut, I guess, and went back to committing to Cal. But yeah, it's just, that's the world of college sports, and that's why we give a little bit more grace to everything that's happening in men's basketball, and the fact that Ron Ganot and co are able to bring in some top tier talent and also just kind of retain some of their better players throughout this time in college sports right now, because it's only set to get crazier as we go on.
Clearly. Yeah, quickly on this, because I could go on for a while.
And we'll get into it more.
I was going to say, yeah, there is a lot. I do urge people to remember that these are kids. Like, I know that it's a little bit different. These are kids with people who are advising them one way or another. And not everybody has the best advisors. So if you disagree with the way that they are going about it, I would urge you to blame the adults a little more than the kids, though the kids are starting to look a little more and more like adults. So we'll see.
We'll see. Anyways, we'll pick up this conversation in hour number 2 and also get back into men's volleyball. And like I said, the Masters and a little bit of everything else. And you guys can always chime in too. So we'll be right back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every Monday. I was going to say weekday morning. Maybe eventually.
I was going to say, maybe
this
someday.
and every Monday on our YouTube channel, where you can find a bunch of other stuffs as well, some shorts, some post-game videos that we have up there from men's volleyball, which we'll get to a little later in this hour as well. We'll get into some master stuff, but a bunch of stuff, so you guys can text in on the conversation at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481, or chime in on the live chat. As we know, Caesar was there. We failed to give our long-time dedicated listener and viewer, Caesar out there on Maui, a shout out, just going through all of the NBA stuff and a little bit of a hockey stuff in here as well, and get everything in. He said, wanted to say hi as usually before I hit the gym. Got to get my beach body ready as summer nears. You and me both, Caesar.
Amen.
So we'll live vicariously through you. But I've done
hopefully
getting better
he's
at the
working out
healthy,
for us too.
Getting better at the healthy eating thing. But yes, got to start getting some of my steps in, especially as the sports season somewhat winds down a little bit, ever so slightly, but certain
I'm losing
things.
my excuse.
Certain things ramping up. Before we get back into some of the college football conversation, I wanted to make note for everybody, though, that happening this week is the OIA girls flag football playoffs going on right now. We will bring you the championship action on Thursday out at Midilani High School, so tune in for that at 7 o'clock p.m. But happening today, so some of the playoff games going on today, you have Campbell versus McKinley. That's going to be at Farrington High School at 5:30. Then you have Kahuku versus Aiea, and that's going to be out at Lelehua. You have Waianae versus Kaimuki later tonight. That one also at Farrington following the Campbell-McKinley game. And then Lelehua versus Kaiser happening at Lelehua, the later game. And moving on, so the first round buys going to Midilani, Caso, Nanakuli, and Moanalua. And yeah, we'll see what happens for those games. And as we mentioned, so winner of Campbell and McKinley will play Caso. Winner of Kahuku Aiea will play Nanakuli. Winner of Lelehua Kaiser will play Moanalua. And winner of Kaimuki and Waianae will play Midilani. And those games will be tomorrow. And then the semifinals will be on Wednesday, championship games on Thursday. So go out, go get them, ladies, and always be proud of yourselves for this inaugural season of girls flag football. And shout out to all of the young ladies that are playing across the state on all of the different islands. It's been a phenomenal season so far, but Kyle Goldera and I will have your call on Thursday evening for OIA Girls Flag Football Championship action. If you guys have Spectrum, you can also watch it via our friends on Spectrum, where they'll have, I believe they'll also have the semifinal games as well. I'll make sure to double check for all of you, but semifinals and championships for the OIA Girls Flag Football games will be on Spectrum. I know there's been a lot of comments on our social media, everyone kind of like, where's Spectrum? Where's Spectrum? So TV is here. They're finally here. And I believe they will also be broadcasting some of the state tournament action. That's why they were trying to figure out when the girls flag football state tournament was going to be based on TV, because that initial week, I think they were projecting, it's kind of a busy weekend with Big West men's volleyball championships and OIA softball and baseball championships or playoffs going on that same week. And it's a crazy one, but I believe it's like the last weekend of like April, May-ish. So we'll keep you guys all posted with that as we go along. All right. Getting back into what we ended hour number 2 with, just the whole Nico Iamaleava thing. It came out over the weekend with just...
Well, sorry. I was gonna say, did
sorry.
you see that 247 Sports or 24/7 Sports? I don't know which, but I feel so bad too, because Brandon Huffman's like our friend, and like I really do appreciate the service that they do. They had logged a projection that Nico will land where he will land in the transfer portal. Do you want to know where that projection is, or would you like to continue on for now?
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Bill Belichick and UNC.
I
is
saw that
projected.
too. Yeah,
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I saw
Low
like
moving costs.
I
too.
saw that and like a few other schools like kind of go, but usually
I saw
that's-
USC was rumored as well. but-
247 is usually pretty on it. But although they have been wrong before,
Yes,
but
they have.
they're usually pretty spot on when it comes to their projections. But we'll see what happens. Wouldn't be surprising. Again,
Anyway,
going
sorry.
over, they kind of have that general manager, not as good as our general manager here at UH. We had Matt Chon on Friday, so if you haven't already, you can watch that on our YouTube channel as well.
If Lombardi keeps
But-
at it a few times or for a few
He'll
years,
get as
maybe
good as Matt.
he will be like in the same realm-ish
Maybe.
as Matt. Maybe.
Maybe.
Not in my heart, though. That's for sure.
Never. And hey, Matt also has aspirations. It'll flip flop. He has aspirations to be in the front office of the NFL one day. So
Exactly.
there you go. Or he could just stay here because it's turning into
I was
professional
gonna say.
football. So there you go.
Might not need to go to the NFL.
Why leave when you can stay in Hawaii?
Anyway,
But no, Nico Iamaleava, former quarterback for Tennessee, and I mentioned earlier he was at the Polynesian Bowl a couple of seasons ago. A very high-rated quarterback in that draft class. There was all of these things going on social media, but Pete Nakos of On3 originally reported that there was a contract dispute between Tennessee and Iamaleava, an issue that ultimately resulted in his exit from the school. As college sports enters the rev share era, it is the most public contract dispute from a player that we've seen so far until there's like the next one and then the next one. So he submitted his paperwork to Tennessee to enter the transfer portal. Sources told Yahoo Sports this was a couple of days ago, and the relationship between the school and player is expected to be over. Tennessee held a team meeting a couple of days ago in that morning to essentially move on from Nico Iamaleava, and it's the sad reality of college sports right now. And I know people will always have their opinions, and Paul was mentioning earlier, like a lot of times it's like the adults in the room. And then even when we talk to Chris Brown, not associate head coach Chris Brown, but from the student athlete NIL that runs a lot of the collectives, it's just a lot of times it is the adults in the room that kind of tug all of these kids like, hey, you should go get this and more and more and more money, instead of just letting the kids too. Some of them aren't like, they have responsibilities too, but we see a lot of situations where they're not choosing where they want to be. Like when we talked to Matt Chon last week, right? Like to me, when I look back, if you told me I didn't have to work at Starbucks on the weekend, I didn't have to, I mean, I guess technically I didn't have to because my dad was like, why do you want to work? But I just, I'm a psycho.
Important.
I wanted to work. I wanted my own money to spend, right? But if you told me,
it's also just a good thing to do because
Yeah.
that's what you're going to have to, or you had to do the rest of your life.
but if you told me I could make enough if I was just like, I just had to go and, granted there was no social media back then, but if there were, I could just go do some Instagram stuff, go do some appearances there, here and there, and make enough to just be able to have some spending money. Again, this is already, you got scholarship, you don't have to worry about living situation, all of that stuff. I mean, as a kid, like that's all you kind of want, is to not have to worry about all of those things. So, but honestly, like at the end of the day, my whole blame though is going to be on the NCAA. Like they did this. This is why leadership is like just so important. And I think it kind of explains, and I won't go entirely on my diatribe about what's happening at UH, but that is part of why I'm so passionate about having strong leadership where you need it. Because if the NCAA wasn't selfish and they got a stronghold on this way before any of the lawsuits happened, we wouldn't be in this situation. If they had established, all right, players are allowed to make money off of literally their name, image, and likeness. You know, Destroying could have kept his YouTube channel going when he wanted to be a kicker at Florida State, right? Like those types of things. Like if you are legitimately doing your own work on the side, making your own deals, like let me be an Instagram influencer, right? Like if this happened with Livy Dunn 8 years ago, like she would have had to choose between gymnastics and social media. You know, like if the NCAA just said, hey, you can make money off of your name, image, and likeness, and that's it. No collectives, no pay to play, no nothing. They established the rules. They let the student athletes take their brands to other levels. You would still have Flau J. Johnson being able to establish her rap career. These really prolific players could have been doing commercials and have legitimate contracts with legitimate agents. We would not be in this situation. So having preparing and having strong leadership is important all around. And that's what we saw here locally, right? Like, you didn't have anybody being proactive when it came to the Aloha Stadium, and now we're in the situation that we're in now, right? And we were trying to wait and see what's going to happen at the UH and within the UH athletics department. So I think that's why I've always been passionate, is because, hey, what are the odds, Paul? You kind of have to learn from history, and when you don't have an established leader who can kind of plan accordingly, can move everyone accordingly, can delegate accordingly, things start to fall apart, and then everything's over before you can even know it, and then you're drowning, and then you're trying to dig yourself out of this hole. And that's the part, to me, like, because I know, again, everyone's going to be passionate. Oh, blame the kids. Oh, blame the parents. Oh, the schools. Oh, well, coaches can leave, so athletes should be able to leave 100%. And that's why I've been even strong on, hey, you can transfer. If the coach leaves, no problem. But for a long time, it was like, nope, even if the coach leaves, sorry, student athletes, like, you can't go anywhere. You are stuck, or else you got to be punished and sit out a season. All of these things, if the NCAA and those that were in charge, Mark Emmett or Emmerich or whatever his name is, he doesn't deserve to have the name pronounced correctly. If they actually cared, if they actually did their job and ran the NCAA like, hey, we should care about the student athletes and their well-being, and not all of this money coming in for only us and only the schools, maybe we should actually start to make it where it is a little bit more fair to the student athletes, where we are concerned about their well-being. And hey, you know what? It's their image, sure. Like, if you have a YouTube channel, go ahead. You can make money off of that. Just don't make money, don't film at the school or using the brand, whatever. The rules that they kind of have now, but that aren't enforced. All of this stuff could have been prevented, and that's why it kills me seeing situations like this with Nico, because it's going to keep happening. And as much as we want to blame everybody else, to me, personally, the blame is always going to fall back on the NCAA and their lack of getting ahead of it, and just, hey, maybe we shouldn't have been selfish this whole time and think about the student athletes. Then nobody would be in this situation.
I think I'll say this. One, agreed in terms of the NCAA continues to just shoot itself in the foot over and over and over again. It had years and years and years to get ahead of this issue. They had people try and tell them for years and years and years, hey, you're going to have to get ahead of this. And eventually, guess what? They didn't get ahead of it, and the dam broke, and here we are now. I'm not going to completely absolve Nico and his family from this, because, and not just them, they're going to be the ones that I use as a placeholder, but they are far from the only ones doing this in college sports, especially college football and especially college basketball, if we want to talk about that. I think there is blame on both sides in terms of, I think sometimes you have people who try and game the system too much. Mm-hmm. And I totally understand trying to maximize your value and things like that. But when you go back and you rehash negotiations during a season, that bothers me. When rumors are coming out now that he was, or his camp was threatening holding him out of the playoffs unless he got a raise in NIL, that bothered me, because the agreement they had was for 12, maybe 13 games. That's skeevy. That's sketchy. And if we are going to sit here and, preach, be like, well, you need to be fair to the student athletes, you need to be fair to these families, well, then the families and student athletes also need to be fair. And you know what would help all of this? And this is where the blame goes back to the NCAA coup. If they just collectively bargain. Like, we just got to stop pretending, right? This is a professional league. This is a pseudo-professional league at this point, where millions of dollars are being thrown at rosters all over the country. But I guess we're going to have richer and richer people who are dumber and dumber get asked to spend their money, I guess. because you've seen it where some donors are starting to smarten up. They're like, if I'm going to give you this money, there needs to be this, that, and the other thing. There needs to be this, that, and that. I need to have this say, whatever. That's a very normal thing to do. It's just, I don't know if it's a salary cap. I don't know if it's legitimate benefits. I don't know. I'm not paid to know those things, though. I am paid to know that collective bargaining agreement between the sides would fix a lot of this, and the NCAA just has no interest in approaching that solution, and that's what bugs me, because we're going to continue to see this. This is what we've been going towards the entire time.
But then that's where the confusion will lie, right? And by confusion, I mean, like, at least in professional sports, you literally are collectively bargaining with the owners of the teams, where in college sports, you don't have necessarily owners. You have donors and a bunch of them that help your team be successful, but you don't have a singular owner. And I know they get distributions from conferences, but it's not enough to sustain all of the college sports. So that's why it is interesting when they talk about breaking off to the power leagues. Okay, fine. But then it's just this whole trickle-down effect, because who do you collectively bargain with when it's like, do you bargain with the NCAA? But if all of the donors were to just be like, nope, like the NCAA can't sustain all of the sports and all of the schools, and then how many donors does each school have? And it's like, it's crazy where, like I said, in professional sports, it's the owners, and it's all of the owners or their partners. Either way, it's like a small group of owners and partners that front the money, that are obligated to front the money to sustain their franchises, and then they collectively bargain out of that. In college sports, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how are you going to like bargain with because at any given day, the donors aren't held accountable for giving money.
Absolutely.
Like, no thanks.
But you need something. And
I'm
my
not disagreeing that you
suggestion-
need something. I'm just saying
Right.
from an outside perspective, like, who do you collectively bargain with if you don't have an actual owner of anything that's going to come
Of course.
front and risk the money?
And that's the issue of it all, right? Is like, how do you go about it? Because also you go, all right, how do we go about an election for the players? How do the players know who they're going to put up at the top of their players union, right? And
Yeah.
all of those things. Well, one, you probably should start by getting actual, like, you should need an agent, and you need the agent to be certified with a particular board. That is one step forward. I think ADs probably would be the most likely ones to negotiate that, because they oversee all sports, and they're the ones who can be held most accountable by the donors. It's not the president, because you don't want the president to be the one making the call when it comes to athletics, because the president is the one who's focused on not just athletics but also academics. And obviously we'd have to hash it out more. That is where I start to think about it, and I totally understand that there are issues with it. This is not sustainable, though. What we have been doing, I mean, I'm shocked that it's the first time, really, that a team, and it's not, to be fair. UNLV kind of was the first ones to walk away from a player, but in terms of this caliber of player, because Nico is outstanding. Like, he is an outstanding football player. Now, is he a $4 million football player? No. But that's another statement. That's another, story. So, I don't know. It's a difficult situation. Of course it's a difficult situation. All of them are. But I wish that Nico and his camp would have went about it better.
Yeah.
Because
and I do need to double down on that part. And I agree
me.
with you 100% that is the issue. And like I said earlier, NCAA leadership is one thing, but you're 100% right, where you can't absolve this situation entirely simply because it was a little because they tried to renegotiate before playoffs started. Like, what are we doing here? What are we teaching the kids too? Like, it's insane that what's going on right now. Hopefully it starts to get fixed soon, but I don't know, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes on.
For years at this point.
Again, just get ahead of it in the beginning, and we wouldn't be in this situation.
When people warn you that things like this are going to happen, maybe be like, instead of being like, no. I'm not even asking you to be like, yeah, it is. Just consider.
Yeah.
Consider that it might, and have a plan for when things do go off the rails, because even that, the NCAA never did.
And I wonder how long it'll take them to fix the whole, because part of, like I said, the reason I had a problem where players weren't allowed to transfer if their coach leaves, now you're having the situation where it's happened before, where coaches were going to leave before their seasons were done, and their players had to deal with it and deal with all of that. We saw it in the men's basketball March Madness side. But at the same time now, the transfer portal was open and like during postseason play for a lot of sports. And it's like, hey, maybe we should kind of do something to figure this out. Maybe coaches aren't allowed to necessarily leave. Maybe the transfer portal will shift now where it's like, we can't do this right now. I mean, that's why professional sports are the way that they are, because there's so many parameters where it's like even coaches, like you can't tamper with coaches. Like in the end, you have
tamper,
contracts for coaches that are strong, that they're in the team, right?
There are
like
contracts, there are buyouts, you have to have trades. There's compensation when you lose a player and you do trade them. It's not free, because that's another thing is there's free agency. Part of that was the player movement because the issue was the only way you ever moved was if you were traded. You were told there was no free will. You were told where you were playing. So there became some free will, but not totally. You got to sign contracts, but that contract, you had to uphold it. We're nowhere near that in college sports right now. So I know there are going to be rule changes. There need to be rule changes. Some of them are going to suck for some people, and I know that, and that sucks for them, and I feel really bad for them because it's unfortunate when some people get made an example out of when they didn't do anything. But we're seeing that we cannot handle no rules, Wild West, all of this. We've seen it year over year. At some point, it needs to change. I would imagine with the settlement coming down, the NCAA might be a little more motivated to start to change things.
I should hope so. Anyways. Okay, we'll save this conversation for another day and see where Nico ends up. But we're going to take a break. We'll be back. We'll only have a few minutes, so we'll talk some Masters. A little bit of golf here for you guys, and then we'll get into more men's volleyball coming up on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Fun Factory.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. All right, want to just talk real quick. Got to mention it because it was another big sporting event that happened over the weekend. Rory McIlroy finally does it and wins the Masters, the coveted green jacket that felt like it was eluding him for so long, almost way too long, but he has done what only 6 golfers, well, 6 including him, have been able to do. And last player that won or completed the Grand Slam, anybody, first golfer that comes to your mind, and you'll probably be correct. Yes, Tiger
I
Woods.
was gonna say, I'm like, it's Tiger, and then after that, I think there are 2 golfers currently that are playing that I know. So
Yeah, so Tiger Woods was the last player to
that's
complete
not true. What a lie from me.
to complete the Grand Slam. And for all of our friends who's not versed in golf, Grand Slam, similar to what we see in baseball, it's a lucky, or not lucky, but yeah, round number 4. So all 4 major tournaments that have to be won in the Masters, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship. So Rory McIlroy finally doing it. He won the 2011 U.S. Open, 2012 PGA Championship, 2014 Open, and now won the Masters. Wanted to
2014.
yeah.
It's been over a decade.
Yeah, well, since he won a major, but he's won tournaments.
But still,
Yeah.
Dang, man,
Yeah, it's been
It's
quite
a long
some time
coming.
for Rory, and I think it sucks because he was going up against Justin Rose at the top. They went to a playoff. I've said this before. Justin Rose is probably one of my favorite current golfers. It goes back to when I met him during a Sony Open event like a long, long time ago. And he was just the nicest, sweetest person ever. And yep, it'll change your life, right? When you meet someone that's like at that level and they are just so kind and so down to earth. So ever since then, I've been rooting for Justin Rose. And the last time that the Masters went to a playoff, it was like 2017 when Justin Rose was in it. So it was kind of like, oh no. But then I know everybody was cheering for Rory McIlroy to finally do this. It was kind of a funny quote actually by Justin Rose because he was asked what he said to Rory after the game and essentially saying, quote, I just said, listen, this is a historic moment in golf, isn't it? Someone who achieves the career Grand Slam. I said it was pretty cool to be able to share that moment with him. Obviously, I wanted to be the bad guy today, but still, it's a momentous occasion for the game of golf because I think 100% Justin Rose, as nice as he is, it felt like the entire crowd was just cheering on Rory McIlroy, the Irishman, and just for him to get that win was so significant. But wanted to play a little snippet for you of what Rory had to say in the post-match press conference. This is here, a little snippet from Rory McIlroy following that win.
I'd like to start this press conference with a question myself. What are we all going to talk about next year? Look, it's a dream come true. I've dreamt about that moment for as long as I can remember. Watching Tiger here in 1997 do what he did and winning his first green jacket, I think that inspired so many of my generation to want to emulate what he did. And, there were points in my career where I didn't know if I would have this nice garment over my shoulders, but I didn't make it easy today. I certainly didn't make it easy. I was nervous. It was one of the toughest days I've ever had on the golf course. I've literally made my dreams come true today, and I would say to every boy and girl listening to this that believe in your dreams, and if you work hard enough and you put the effort in, that you can achieve anything you want.
Yeah, believe in your dreams, everybody. So Rory McIlroy finally winning that green jacket and securing the Grand Slam, just the 6th player in men's golf to do so. And it was interesting too. I saw this fun stat where, so again, 6th player in history to complete the career Grand Slam. It took the other 5 golfers 3 attempts at most to win the final major. It took Rory 11 attempts at the Masters to finally win that final. Like you said, 2014 was the last major tournament he won, and it finally, and like Rory said,
all of my major life experiences have happened since Rory had won last.
Like Rory said, and like what everyone that was watching, he didn't make it easy. He had that lead, he made a couple incredible shots, and then just couldn't put it in, and then we went to the playoff. And it was just phenomenal to see. So Rory McIlroy, again, getting the custom-fit green jacket, a record $4.2 million in prize money, honorary membership to Augusta National, a gold medal and replica Masters trophy, lifetime invitation to the Masters, a locker in the Champions locker room, access to the members-only driving range, an annual invitation to the Champions dinner. I must say, as pretentious of a sport it comes off as. I do like that part of it where it's like, especially the Masters, where it feels like this super exclusive club, right? Because who doesn't want to be part of something exclusive? But it's also something you can't buy your way into. You literally have to earn it. So I think that's what makes it so cool with the Masters is like you get all of this stuff, but you're only invited into like this really small group of golfers and like the invitation for life and all that stuff, and really having to earn it and work your way to get it. And Rory McIlroy, I know he's a fan favorite in the world of golf, and finally doing it. Woo! So it was nice to see. All right, going to take a break. When we come back, we will get back into our men's volleyball conversation and let you guys hear from seniors, well, I guess a junior, and Kurt Nusterer, but one of these honored on senior night, and of course, a 6-year senior, Eleu Choy. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani, right alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel right now and every single Monday. So be sure you guys like and subscribe, and feel free to chime in on the live chat or text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. All right, want to get back into some men's volleyball conversation. We talked extensively about it in hour number 1. So if you missed it, you can listen or watch on demand whenever you guys want. But we want to pick that conversation up again. Hawaii, again, after not a very good match on Friday, able to turn things around and play a lot better on Saturday, coming out with that 5-set win over the number 1 team in the country and one of the best players in the country and one of the best servers in the country. Long Beach State just riddled with a lot of credit. But Hawaii, thanks to the chicken skin moment of the firefighters that sang the Hawaii Pono'i, we're able to chicken body. We're able to wait. Is it the chicken body thing, like that weird thing that's going viral from Minecraft?
No,
chicken jockey.
I was gonna say it was close.
I was like, I know there was like chicken. Anyways, getting back to men's volleyball. That's a whole nother thing. But Hawaii able to secure that 5-set win again, 21-25, 25-20, 18-25, 25-19, and 15-13 on senior night. Huge win. One of the, redshirt junior middle blocker, Kurt Nusterer, who was celebrated on senior night because he is all PAL and going to start his professional career at Goldman Sachs after this season, which hopefully doesn't finish till May after this season is done. But he was honored that night when he was able to turn around, benched on Friday, came back, got the start on Saturday, and able to really have put on a good performance. 10 kills, 6 blocks, some really crucial blocks too. Like, oh my gosh, I was
Career
just getting,
high
so
10 kills, by the way.
fired up the whole time. Yeah. Anyways, this is what Kurt Nusterer had to say following that match.
Much needed win.
Can you just tell us what it took to make this happen tonight and that comeback fashion?
Took the fans and a whole lot of grit. I mean, that was a bumpy ride. We played some of our best volleyball tonight, and we played some of our worst volleyball tonight. So, I think at one point we had played with 4 different lineups, moving people around. that just goes to show you this team and what we got in the future. We got a bunch of gritty guys who are ready to work hard and do whatever it takes to find a way to win. And we definitely used the benefit of having 10,300 fans here tonight. They made it extra special.
What did it mean to you to have not just your family here from Indiana, but also guys like Jakob and Chaz here in town?
They're so special. I mean, they may not be biologically related to me, but all my teammates are family to me. So it's just such a privilege.
What was this working for you in terms of your swings tonight? You had some huge blocks. Just how you saw your openings tonight.
I mean, yesterday I had one of the worst games of my life. So the thought there is that the next day you can only go up from there. So it really took a lot of pressure off. When the coaches told me I was starting, because Ofek came in yesterday and played great. He did phenomenally. So I was like, well, shoot, I don't know if I'm going to start tomorrow. So when I found out I was starting, it was really freeing in a sense that they had faith in me and trust in me. And I knew I couldn't play worse than I did the other day. So once the ball got rolling, it kind of just snowballed from there.
You've been a part of senior nights before. You've seen huge wins before. How does this compare? I mean, if somebody told you before tonight, would you have signed up for this?
It does not get better than this. 15-13 in the fifth against the #1 team in the country. Sold out stand on senior night. Doesn't get better than that, man. This has been one of the most fun nights of my life. Tell my kids about that. Tell my grandkids about that. God forbid I live to see my great grandkids. I'll tell them about that too. So, if I remember.
You've been a part of you've seen the senior night. Now it's your turn. I mean, how did it get you that it's your turn now? You get the win.
It's so special to me, and just seeing all these people who are willing to come here, whether they're just saying congrats or thank you, whatever the case may be, it's such a privilege and humbling. But at the end of the day, we got some games here not next week, but in 2 weeks. And those games are important. So, as fun as this win is, the job's not at all finished.
And that was UH middle blocker Kurt Nusterer. And like he said, as fun as it was, the job's not finished here. As we said, it's like, hopefully you're playing all the way till May. But nonetheless, one game at a time, got to take care of business on the road. But as you heard him say, had probably one of the worst games of his life on Friday. Was able to get the start still on Saturday and felt like, all right, well, the coaches still believe in me. Like, I'm going to go. Took a lot of weight off his shoulders knowing that the coaching staff believed in him and his ability to get the job done. And boy, did he get the job done. Able to have one of the best games on Saturday night. And someone else who had one of the best games of their career, Eleu Choy, really able to just be such a huge contributor to that serve receive game. We mentioned it earlier, but Moni Nikolov is one of the, if not the best setter in the country and overall best players, potentially being a one and done player because he's getting offers to go play professionally already elsewhere, like Paul mentioned, like his brother. But he is also a very, very good server, and I'm sure you guys noticed that as well when in attendance. I mean, that kid can serve the ball, and the fact that there were no aces in 2 nights, and granted, not every single ball went to Eleu, but it speaks volumes to how much control Eleu could have with handling the type of serves that came in over the net from Moni Nikolov. But nonetheless, in Eleu fashion, just overall good vibes, and his answer, he just makes me chuckle when he answers because he's just the best. Either way, this is what the senior libero Eleu Choy had to say following that match on Saturday.
Not just tonight, what did it take the last 2 nights to have that serve-receive kind of performance against guys like Nikolov on the other side?
No, I mean, it's our servers in our gym. I mean, they've been serving really tough, and I gotta give credit to all my teammates that have been serving analysts, and they've been serving tough because we knew that Long Beach would be a good serving team. So I think we prepared well for a service team overall, all of us.
What were you feeling those last several points of the 5th set? What did you think it took to bring it home for you guys tonight?
I mean, honestly, we have to stay on our toes because anything could happen. Especially in this game, we came back. We also lost some of our lead. But you know what? I think that in the last several points, I was like getting ready to cheer on for Senior Night.
In the fourth set, you went down for a little bit, but you didn't come out of the match. What happened there? How's your body feeling after like 2 really tough matches like that?
My body feeling great. I think I can go another match. What happened over there was I tried to dig the ball, it went through my arms, and then it hit me right in the cojones.
What can you say? I mean, I think every local boy probably dreams about a night like tonight. What can you say about the crowd tonight and everybody who came out?
I mean, like, we really got to thank the fans. 10,300 people, they really uplifted our spirits, and I think we really appreciate, like, the volleyball fan base here in Hawaii. Yeah.
It looked like it hit you the hardest when you were waiting in the tunnel. Just what kind of came over you right there?
Like, just looking back, I know being here for 6 years, it's really a long journey. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was my first year as a freshman, I was a really young kid, and now, like, I'm an adult where I feel more mature as a man.
You should get back to your fans.
Yeah,
And that was Eleu Choy, senior libero for the men's volleyball team. I had to leave in that ending. I think that was Christian, right? That was saying, you got to get back to your fans. Because I know he has a lot of fans, and everyone was waiting for him. So it was just so endearing.
A quick pull the curtain back for the beautiful people, because I was right there. We were joking, or like, are we going to be able to get Eleu? Because it was already approaching 11 p.m. at that point. And Derek Inucci looks at us. He's like, "You guys sure you want to wait?" And we're like, "Yeah." It's like it's it's Eleu, and just more people are coming down from the stands because one, there is no senior night like Hawaii. Just there isn't. And then you add in the fact that Eleu is everybody's favorite grandson.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he had the entire island of Oahu here to see him. It was incredible. We luckily grabbed him for just a moment. We're like, can we snag you for 2 minutes, and then we'll give you right back. So if you think his answers were short a little bit there, probably were, but it was because he was trying to give as much of his time as he could to as many people as possible. So very appreciative that we even got a chance to talk to him, because I think it was us and about 4,000 of our closest friends trying to get some of Eleu's time after that match. So also for him to be able to even speak after getting peppered with the amount of serves that he was, I mean, not just like,
and as he said, hitting the
crazy,
cojones.
Hitting the cojones. And those serves, like, not only do they have crazy cut on some of them, but he's diving across the floor on some real stingers of serves. He was digging up attacks like it was nothing. He was saving everything. Like, he was outstanding. Charlie said it was going to be on his All-American tape for a reason. It should be. The numbers don't do it justice for what he did. I know if you know volleyball, you look a little more at the numbers and you're like, wow, it was a really good night for Hawaii. Eleu Choy, I mean, this guy is unbelievable. He allows Hawaii to do so much more, and I just don't want it to go by the wayside. I don't want it to not be mentioned, because he's small compared to these other guys, but man, is his impact on the court mighty.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Just his work ethic is phenomenal. Louis Sakonoko made reference to him as well. You guys can watch that on our YouTube channel of what Louis had to say for the post game, and just incredibly hard worker, and obviously not just on the volleyball court. He's getting his master's in engineering.
Guy is unbelievably
I forget
smart.
which field of engineering, but engineering nonetheless. It's already hard.
Doesn't matter.
His family and family friends were in the Giovanni Pastrami section right there, so they were kind of on TV. You saw Bailey Choy with her new baby there, and her husband, Mom Terry, Dad Barney. Shout out to them. And yeah, exactly what you guys see on the screen with Eleu is exactly like who he is just off the court. Because I mean, I've spent a lot of time at we're friends with the parents and a lot of time at their house, and he is just like the nicest human ever. So is Bailey and the whole family, but just so nice and just very always like, hi, Auntie. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't tear up as much as I thought I would. So, and I don't think Eleu tear up as much as either. And I think because maybe it's not the final game in the stand, maybe that's part of the reason. I think when it is final, there will be a little bit more tears. But no, it was still a really fun time there. And it was just funny watching everyone in that back section of the Giovanni Pastrami with seeing his dad's reaction of different things, and because he's a staple in the volleyball community here, and it was just a fun night on Saturday.
He kills me. He really, really kills me. The funny thing is, he might be nicer off the court than you even realize.
Yeah.
Because at least on the court, sometimes you do see him let loose a little bit, scream yeah, or a let's go, or something along those lines. Off the court, it is he is the most respectful young man, is always looks you in your eye when he's talking to you. Like you said, it's just he is an incredible human being, and somehow almost an even better volleyball player. So we love him. We love this senior class. I was so happy to see everybody come out. Over 19,000 fans coming out this past weekend to show their aloha to this senior class and to this Rainbow Warrior team. It was really, really awesome to see.
Ooh, so yeah, shout out to everybody that came out, and credit to a lot of the other seniors as well. I know Charlie, when we played his audio earlier, that he made note and contributions to different seniors. Again, we talk about Eleu and Kurt a lot just because they've been with the program the longest, and as Paul mentioned earlier, it's almost like a changing of the guard because they were part of the national championship team, or at least the last time, right? Didn't have significant roles, but we're here in Hawaii. We're part of it, and now it's the new regime of players, but also, of course, a shout out to Kawai Hong, Zachary Thompson, who came back to finish their careers here, and that's kind of what they wanted, right? They weren't really coming here they want to play. Everybody wants to play.
Of course.
But they just wanted to be part of what is Hawaii volleyball to finish off their career, and what a way that they got the senior night that they did as well. Again, not necessarily getting a lot of action this season, but that wasn't kind of the reason why they came back home. They know how special Hawaii volleyball is, and that's why they came back to finish their careers here, to be able to feel what we felt on Saturday, the chicken body as I'm getting right now. And that's exactly what they wanted. And of course, Clay Weeder, as Charlie mentioned earlier, he's someone that had the skills and talent to probably play elsewhere and decided to finish up his career here at home, or not his home anyways, but our home in Hawaii as well. So shout out to all of them as well. I want to make sure we mention them again, but we mostly talk a lot about Eleu and Kurt just because they've just been with the program for so long. And I kind of texted you guys chuckling where we saw Eleu go down for a second. Luckily, he was fine. And even Kurt got a little, looked like he tweaked an ankle a little bit. And I was texting you guys. I was like, how is it my children are going down? I was like, no, my heart is sore. Auntie Koo is sad right now. Luckily, we're okay. Everybody's okay. Came out with the win. But I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on right now? Anyways, we got to take a break. We'll be back to wrap things up here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Just got a few minutes left. Before we go, I want to make sure because I am wearing a HPU Sharks baseball shirt today. So I want to make sure we shout out our Sharks baseball team. We were there on Saturday to bring you the game one of that matchup against Point Loma, a team that is at the top of the Pac West Conference as well. And hey, walk off there by the Sharks. You can listen to the game on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get most podcasts. It's up right now, but Point Loma, HPU able to beat Point Loma 12-11 in that first game on Saturday, and then able to beat them again in the second game 11-3. And then they play a doubleheader this afternoon at 2 and 5:30. So shout out, which if you guys are watching on YouTube, why you're wondering why I'm wearing an HPU Sharks baseball shirt, because let's go. Let's keep winning. Shout out to head coach Dane Fujinaka and everybody over there so far. So let's go Sharks. And as we were kind of chuckling about, we got to start, maybe we got to find some sponsors to go to cover some Pac West baseball, because things are shaping up and looking okay for HPU to make it into the postseason. But want to finish off the show. This is a big day today for all of our women's basketball fans out there. The WNBA draft happening today. We made a little mention of Paige Beckers, who is projected and all accounts going to go number 1 overall to the Dallas Wings. Again, had a phenomenal collegiate career, had some injuries, but able to just pick up where she left off and then close out her collegiate career winning the national championship. So she is, again, projected to go number 1 overall. She did sign that contract with Unrivaled, but as most people know, it is on the off season per se. So it's nice that some of these players get to play professional basketball, make money. Again, Paige, supposedly it's been reported that her contract with Unrivaled is worth more than what her rookie contract will be in the WNBA. So it's good to start bringing, because there was a whole issue about playing overseas and all of this stuff. So it's nice to see this opportunities for these the women basketball players here in the U.S., because we don't know when the WNBA salaries will get to a level where it feels like, hey, we're comfortable with this is a good livable salary. Again, long ways away. Maybe you never want to say never, but the NBA, they're never asking to get to NBA type of money, but at least somewhere that's reasonable, and they will this can be a one-time job or only job that they will have and not have to worry about overseas. But taking a look at the mock drafts in the WNBA so far, this was actually kind of an interesting one. I'm always curious when they have some of the international players, right? Seattle Storm, Dominique Melonia from France, 6'6" center, is projected to go number 2. Kiki Iriafen out of USC, formerly Stanford, to the Washington Mystics at number 3. Also, the Mystics get 4, and Sonia Citron? Yeah, Citron. Out of Notre Dame, shooting guard. The Golden State Valkyries, Anissa Morrow, that'll be a good one, out of LSU. But the Valkyries, the newest team in the WNBA. Mystics again, getting Cheyenne Sellers at number 6 out of Maryland. Connecticut Sun, Asia Sivka out of Slovenia. Also Connecticut Sun, Isaiah James out of NC State. LA Sparks and Georgia Amore out of Kentucky. And the Chicago Sky, Sania Fagan out of South Carolina. So pretty good right there. Haley Van Lith projected to go number 11 to the Chicago Sky. But initial thoughts, Paul, on the WNBA draft coming up later today?
I wish they did a better job promoting it beforehand. It feels like we got very little buzz about it outside of people who actually know, and that's not the audience that you're trying to promote it to. Nonetheless, really excited for this year's class. It's interesting. We saw people go back to school that we thought were going to enter the W draft. So I'm curious if that continues in the future, but very excited for a lot of the young women who will continue on their careers later tonight.
I'm just excited for Arike Ogunbowale to get Paige Beckers on her team, and let's go Dallas. All right, but for now, we got to go. For Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.
1, 2, 3. Your home